In this lesson, we're going to learn about something that's both immensely elegant compared to other strategies, as well as immensely powerful, both for your own personal individual work, as well as for collaboration. Basically, this is a tool that has come into the industry over the last decade or so, and has proven so useful that you'd be hard-pressed to find a professional coder or organization that doesn't use at least some form of it. Welcome to the world of Git. And what Git attempts to do is to provide you with the ability to version control your software. One of the big problems, and let me pull up actually Paint here, with writing a piece of software is imagine that you create a, where's my box here? You create a program that has, let's just, how am I going to represent this here? Has features A, B, and C inside of it. And you realize as you're working on your project that there's something about C that's a little bit problematic. So what you try to do is build a new version of this program that kind of builds on top of this previous version back over here. And so what you end up doing is you still have A and B working, but now you have like version C2 that you've worked on. And things are going well, and C2 functions nicely, and you kind of consider it complete, but then you suddenly realize that this is now working, but there's suddenly an option with B. Now, something that you've done in C2 has caused B to have a bit of an issue. So what do? Well, now you try to fix B, and as you're working on B, you get to the point where, let me just grab this back here again, suddenly, oops, let me remember how to type. A, B, and your C2 version are working, and I guess here we technically have B2, so I'll just draw over this here, B2, and what you find out, not BS, B2, what you find out when you work on this is that suddenly, now that B2 is working, things in A and C2 are now breaking because you've changed things in here, and you've gotten yourself into a state where your program, you've made some changes, but there are some unanticipated kind of worse and worse problems being developed. And so you go, I could kind of fix all of this, but you know what? Getting C to work in this manner here isn't really worth the echoing problems all the way down the line. And I really wish that I could go back to version 1 of this so that I didn't have to, version 2 and 3, that I could just go back to the start. It's easier to go back to version 1 and then kind of retry so that I can fix this better rather than try to fix it at this level where things are getting really, really messy. And so if we just keep on saving our projects one step at a time, we're stuck. This is now gone. This is now gone in the traditional way of saving our projects. We're stuck working from here unless we've made lots of custom backups. However, we kind of tend to forget that. It's also takes a lot of memory up and hard to remember. What Git allows us to do is to save, let me get my box here. It allows us to save a kind of a copy, a version of this in the past, and kind of a version of this in the past. And now we also have this version, and what we can do through Git is go, I'm not too happy with this version. I'd like to revert back to my original version. And now I have this that I've reverted back to that I can kind of pull out and go, hey, take a look. I'm now back here. I still have a C issue, but I can try something new to kind of move on to a new solution that might end up a lot better than this. So I can jump around between versions of my program that I remembered. It's like a backup system on steroids that allows us a lot of flexibility in working with both backing up and accessing different versions of our program. Very, very useful. Might save you a huge amount of work if you kind of get in the habit of forgetting to back things up or make errors along the way. This is what the program, the app on the computer looks like. What we're going to be doing is downloading GitHub Desktop. So head to GitHub Desktop on the site, download for Windows and get it up and running, and then come back to this tutorial. So maybe pause the video and I'll see you in a sec. Okay, you have it installed. Are you back? Wonderful. So one of the things that you're going to be needing to do is to when you install it for the first time, set up an account on GitHub. It should guide you through the process of doing so. And Once you have an account set up and linked to this program, you have the option of building repositories. These are places where your code can be stored on the GitHub server as a backup. And up in the top left here, I see I have a current repository, and I have a number of different ones I'm just kind of been working with on this computer that I can jump back and forth between. Let's create a new one. I'm going to create a repository. I'm going to call this Git tutorial, just as an example here. I have a local path, which is where the files are stored on my computer, and this is also going to be stored on the GitHub server. One really important thing that we need to do while working in Unity is to choose something for git ignore. In fact, we have a pre-made list for git ignore for Unity right here. What this does is it allows us to ignore backing up any files that don't need to be backed up. A lot of the bulk of a Unity project is the structure of the Unity program itself that runs the software, but Unity can kind of regenerate that as needed. We don't need to pass that around online, back and forth, back and forth. It's kind of like if you need to share content with somebody else in a course on a chapter of the book, maybe just a page of homework, you could pass the whole textbook around, or you could just take a picture of that one page and then pass that picture around. It's way less bulky. Zoom into only the main content that you need to share. So git ignore allows us to only back up that most essential content that is required to be passed around. And then I'm going to press create repository. And it is going to build a local project that I need to choose to publish to my site under my account. And under github.com, have the name, you can give a description if you want. And I want to turn off, keep this code private pretty much all the time. If it's private, it's for my own backup usage, but it being public means that others can view it, I can collaborate, I can share content, and we want that to be the case. So remember to turn off, keep this code private, and click Publish Repository. Let it do its thing to synchronize with the server. Very cool. And now if I head up to current repository under Git tutorial here, I should also be able to see it right down here. If I right click on this, I can click on Show in Explorer. And it's going to take me to right on my hard drive under Git repositories. I have this Git tutorial that has just a couple files, the attributes of the Git project, and this Git ignore file, which is just the things that Unity that are going to be ignored from our Unity files. So perfect. We'll deal with adding more files to this shortly. The last thing that I want to do for now is if I have a repository selected, click on repository, view on GitHub. And this is going to take us to my GitHub site and show us online that this is all right here present online. And theoretically, at this point, I could actually share a link to my project for others to be able to snag this data. And in the next video, I'll show you about what we do to actually share a Unity project with one another.